So just a quick disclaimer off the bat, the following video is part of a longer form video that I do every Monday. I decided to cut this part out and turn it into its own video as I thought it was an interesting section. If you want to see the full uncut video, links will be down in the description, but without further ado, here is the video. There is a couple of things to go over today, starting off with a big performance boost that will be making its way to the Xbox Series S. This article comes from The Verge and it reads, Microsoft gives Xbox Series S devs more memory to improve graphics performance. As most know, the Xbox Series S is a more than capable console. Although it might not be capable of hitting the performance targets of the Xbox Series X, it is still more than powerful enough to run games at a decent resolution. Xbox is advertising the Series S as a 1440p 120 frame machine, and although it is clearly not the case, especially with newer AAA games, it can still definitely hold its own in the 1080p department even at more than 60 frames. In the article they say Microsoft is giving the Xbox Series S game developers more control over memory on the console. The new Xbox Software Development Kit has been released to developers recently, and it frees up more memory for developers to access for Xbox Series S games and boost performance in certain titles. Hundreds of additional megabytes of memory are now available to Xbox Series S developers, says Microsoft Game Dev team in a video detailing the updates. This gives developers more control over memory, which can improve graphic performance in memory constrained conditions. Again, this is something that developers have also called for quite some time now. It is even pointed out by Digital Foundry a while ago that this memory issue has been plaguing the Series S when it comes to performance. The Verge says here those memory constraints have been detailed by Digital Foundry, with developers reportedly feeling the pain around optimizing games for the Series S. It is less the CPU and GPU power of the Xbox Series S, particularly as the Series S has the same CPU as the X but a more memory situation. Microsoft improvements, although small, could help reduce some of the friction around developing games for the Xbox Series S. Now, based on a few things that I have read, it seems to be a developmental nightmare to optimize games for both the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X at once, since both these consoles do come out together as current generation. And now I also understand why Microsoft would want to make some of these changes to ensure that developers can have a much easier time developing games for both consoles. Although this issue seems not to be present in the Xbox Series X, it is still a problem that is present for the Xbox Series S and something that needs to be sorted out. Right now, the Xbox Series S seems to be a very popular option with the more casual gaming fanbase. It is also perfect for those who do not want to do disc-based gaming, and considering that digital sales are about 70% of the market, the smaller console fits in perfectly. On top of that, Xbox is also working on a way for you to buy physical discs and activate them and play them on the Xbox Series S, so there will be even more of an appeal for this console. It is understandable why Xbox would want to make these changes and help out developers. As they move more into the digital side of things, these discless consoles will become even more important. Sony themselves have a digital version of the PlayStation 5, and although Xbox went in a slightly different route by offering not the discless version of the Xbox Series X but rather a cheaper console price at $299, it has been a winner for them. Kotaku in their article also says while it is not the most powerful console out there, the smaller and more affordable Xbox Series S has been a big hit for Xbox, but reportedly some devs has felt the strain of getting bigger, more advanced games to work on console, and in response Microsoft is freeing up some memory to help improve the tiny console performance. And again, to be clear, the Series S is not going to turn into a 4K machine, but it will maybe help to smooth out some of the frame rates that will result in overall better gameplay. And it's something that the article also points out. This isn't like Microsoft quadrupling the power of the Series S, nor is this Microsoft flipping on some secret switch to let the console start running games at 8K and 240Hz or anything wild like that. Instead, the amount of memory dedicated to non-gaming functions in this $300 Series S is being tweaked. While the more powerful Xbox Series X console has 16GB of RAM, the cheaper Xbox Series S only has 10GB. But before this update, devs only had access to 8GB of memory, as Microsoft reserves around 2GB for the console's operating system. Now devs will have hundreds of extra megabytes of memory, which could help some games run a bit better moving forward, and hopefully this will lead to better optimized games that not only looks better but also runs better.